Hey guys, how's it going? So every year, the third weekend in August, there's this giant outdoor flea market near where I live, and that is my family's favorite tradition aside from Halloween, but it's a very, very close second. It's like a huge thing for us. So that was actually this past weekend, and today is going to be the book haul of all the books that I got at the flea market. Most of these are books that I hadn't really heard of and just saw and looked good because they were like $1 or so. But without further ado, let's just get into the books I picked out. The first book I picked out is The Sacred Bones by Michael Burns. The main reason why I picked out this book is because the tagline on it is Spies, Murder, Conspiracy, One Unholy Trinity. And that just sounded really interesting to me. From reading the back, I think it's essentially, it's a mystery novel, clearly, but they found some bones that they thought were Jesus, and now they have to, I don't know, the Vatican security is after them, and that just sounds really interesting. And most importantly, it's the first of a series. I think there's a sequel. I don't know how bad the cliffhanger is, but that's something to worry about later. The problem with flea markets is a lot of times you see a really cool book and realize it's like the 6th of a series, but yeah, I'm excited to try this one and figure out what in the world is going on. The next book I got is The Arabian Nights, Tales from 1001 Nights. This is just a classic that I've never owned, and I've never read any of the stories, I don't think. So it's just, a good thing to have and to eventually get to. It is gigantic, but I'll get to it eventually. The next book I got is Urban Coyote, a Yukon anthology. I really like the Yukon. I'm really interested in all 3 of our territories. I actually wanted to move to Nunavut for a little while. I still want to just take a year and just live in Nunavut just to experience it. But this is just an anthology of 16 local writers talking about the Yukon, and that just seems really interesting to me. It's tiny, so I'll definitely get to this sooner rather than later and just see what in the world it's about. Next, I picked up an Albert Einstein biography by Frida Wyszynski. I am a huge fan of Albert Einstein. I have a framed picture of him right here, actually, that I keep in my library. But I'm just really interested in him and his life, and this was just a cute little biography that I really couldn't pass up, and I think it was like 50 cents, so yeah. Next, I picked up The Prisoner of Heaven by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I just think, first of all, this is gorgeous. This was in a stall, it was like fill a bag of books for $1 or something. So yeah, I picked up this one. I read it over to make sure that it, wasn't part of a series, and it doesn't say anywhere that it is. And then I checked Goodreads when I got home, and this is actually apparently the 3rd book in a series. But from the little bit that I've gathered, I'm not sure if you have to read the first 2 books first, or if it's just it's the same characters. So I'll read it and figure it out, and if I don't understand it, I guess I'll keep an eye out for the first 2 books. But it's just it has a really creepy vibe that I really like, and it's apparently about a couple who have a really great life going, and they just had a baby, and their close friend is getting married, and then a strange visitor comes in the middle of the night, and there's a dark secret in the city. I don't know. I read it really quickly. It looked interesting. It was essentially free, so yeah, I picked it up. The next 3 books I also got as part of that same deal. The next one is Alfred Hitchcock, The Best of Mystery, 63 short stories chosen by the master of suspense. So I just think this would be really interesting. It's huge and heavy, and yeah, it'll be really fun. And I don't own very many short story collections, and I don't know, I kind of like having them around so I can just when I'm kind of in the mood to read but I don't want to read a whole book or whatever I'm currently reading, just flip through and read a quick short story. And yeah, I really enjoy mystery. I just don't have very many mystery books, so I thought this would be really awesome. Next, I got Jack London, Tales of the North. This has 4 complete novels and 15 short stories in it. And I absolutely adore Jack London. Call the Wild and White Fang were 2 of my all-time favorites as a kid, and I love his work. I'm a really big fan of the North, so I don't know, I just think that this is going to be really, really fun. And again, more short stories for me to flip through. whenever I feel like it. And I don't remember, I know I've read a handful of his short stories, but I don't remember which ones because it was when I was so young. So this is just going to be really, really fun to flip through and experience like it's the first time, along with a couple of my favorite classics as a kid in White Fang and Call of the Wild. And the last book I got as part of that deal was Falconer and the Face of God by Ian Morrison. I know that this is the third in a series, but it's a mystery series where the mystery doesn't continue, it's just like the same detective or whatever. So I figured it was still safe enough. Like there's gonna be a few things that I might not pick up on, but that's okay. I've been in the mood for mysteries lately. This is a medieval Oxford mystery, so that sounds cool. It takes place around Christmas time. Somebody was killed on stage during a performance. Everything is just apparently very wild, and somebody wants somebody dead. And yeah, I just think that that's going to be really interesting, and it's like a really short story, and even though I don't really know much about this, for that kind of a deal, I don't need to know that much. Also, at the Sussex Flea Market, almost every year, I tend to get some sort of giant textbook because, I don't know, I find them interesting, they're fun to have on my shelf, and flip through from time to time. This year is no exception. I got this giant, the Historical Atlas of World War II. It's basically a history book told through maps. Oh, come on, focus. See? Like, isn't that super cool? I am a huge fan of maps. I like history, especially the history around the World Wars, and this is just going to be so much fun to look through, and yeah, I'm really excited to flip through it. It is gigantic and heavy. It was only $5, which is, I think, a damn good price. But yeah, that is my annual textbook, I guess. And another book I got from the same vendor is Hitler's Gladiator, The Life and Times of Something I'm Not Even going to bother trying to pronounce, by Charles Messenger. I really like I said, like, the history of the wars and the, like, insight to them, and I specifically really love stories of people who, because of circumstances, turn out so different than they would have been. This story is about Sepp Diedrich, probably pronouncing that wrong, and the way that it's, like, described on the back really sums it up perfectly for me. It says, under different circumstances, Sepp Diedrich would probably have remained an ordinary soldier, not very bright, but honest and well-meaning. In a brutal and lawless society, he became a brute himself. And I don't know, I just like that, like, extra insight into, like, how people become the way they are, and I think that this is going to be a fascinating read, and I'm really curious about it. Another thing that I really like specifically about this book is that I saw in a review that the author isn't trying to make excuses for this person, like, he did horrible things, and he's not trying to say he didn't. It's more just like here's the insight to how those things happened. Spot. So yeah, very excited to get to this and kind of see everything for myself. On a much lighter note, I picked up Lumps, Bumps, and Body Slams by Michael Marcus. This is just like a random middle grade story about some kid who really likes wrestling. And that's just very up my alley. As a giant wrestling fan myself, I'm even wearing my Undertaker hat. But it was just too cute not to pass up. I think it was like 50 cents or $1. And it's going to take like 5 seconds to read. It is tiny, a very quick read, but I'm just really interested in it, so I figured why not pick it up. The next book I picked up is Reconstructing Amelia by Kimberly McCreight. This is a mystery thriller novel about a woman who gets a call and finds out that her daughter Amelia has jumped off the roof of her really, like, prestigious private school, and while she's dealing with the shock and the grief of that, she gets an anonymous text message that says that her daughter didn't jump. I read the synopsis and it sounded really interesting, and like I mentioned earlier, I've been really in the mood for more like mystery novels, and I'm also just really interested to see like how the main character solves the mystery while dealing with her grief and everything that's like wrapped up in that. So I think this is going to be a very interesting novel, probably kind of on the heavy side, so we'll see when I get around to it, but I'm excited for whenever I do. And the last book I got is a collection of Grimm's fairy tales. This one has, I think, like 30 different fairy tales in them, but I really like reading these, and it's always really fun just to see the comparison of, you know, the fairy tales that I think I know and grew up with, and seeing like the difference between them. It's another short book, and books like these I think just are really fun to have on the shelf. And even though I have read the like original version of so many of these fairy tales, it's just really fun just to have it and flip through, because I just find that stuff really fascinating. So I couldn't resist picking this up, and I think this one was also only like $1, so yeah. So there you have it. Those are the 13 books I bought from the flea market. I think they came to a total of like $20 or something like that, which is amazing. But yeah, I had such a fun time. I love flea markets. I love buying cheap books. I am now, unfortunately, further away of my goal of having less than 100 unread books on my bookcase. But that's a problem for the end of the year. Overall, though, I'm really happy with what I got. It was really fun picking out books. And, you know, there are so few opportunities to get books that cheap that I couldn't resist most of those. So I don't regret a thing. I'm really excited to get to these books. And yeah, overall, it was a great day, and I'm very happy and satisfied. So that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to click the like button and let me know, because that really helps me out. And also, don't forget to subscribe so you can see when I eventually get to these books and how I find them, and if I regret spending that 50 cents or not. So I hope to see you guys next time, and until then, have a great day. Bye.